Starting a bookkeeping business can sometimes be, well, a little scary. You might be new to working for yourself, or you might have been winging it for a while. Maybe you've got a little side hustle bookkeeping business going on. Either way, you don't have to go it alone. I'm 𝘀𝗵𝗿𝗵, and I've scaled and sold a 7-figure bookkeeping business, and I've been where you are now. I know the problems you're facing, and I want to share what I had to learn the hard way to help you on your journey. So follow along and let's get your bookkeeping business where you want it to be. So maybe you're thinking about quitting your day job and going out on your own as an independent bookkeeper. Maybe you're looking for some guidance and support. Do you find yourself wondering if you know enough about bookkeeping on the broad scale to actually start your own firm? We're diving into the why behind starting a new bookkeeping firm. Spoiler alert, it's not just about loving numbers. You don't have to just be good at accounting. It's about freedom, flexibility, and building a business on your own terms. So you need to make a strategic plan, and that will a plan to help you earn the income that you've always wanted. Now, when I started my bookkeeping firm, I didn't really have a plan. I was just going to make some extra income while the kids were in school. I thought it was a great way to work from home, and it worked out well. But then when my business started to take off, I just sort of let it. And so there is a way to grow your business and grow it strategically, and that's the purpose of my firm, is to help people grow their business strategically and scale it and then eventually sell it. So grab a cup of coffee and let's talk about why now is a good time to start your bookkeeping firm. So let's start with the most obvious. There's more demand for bookkeeping than ever before. Small businesses are popping up everywhere, and guess what? Every one of them needs someone to help them with their books. So small business owners are generally the entrepreneurs. If you've worked with them, you'll know they're creative, and sometimes they just don't have the focus, or they don't have the background and skills or business degree to manage their books. They want someone else to do that for them. So that would be you. So they're either looking for somebody to keep the books for them, or they're looking for someone to show them how to do it, to teach and train them, and just to come along beside them. So the truth is, most business owners don't want to do their books. They just want to run their business. That's the truth. And that's where you come in. A solid, dependable bookkeeper is worth your weight in gold. If you can offer clean books and be able to give the entrepreneur like clear communication, a peace of mind, let them know that you're on their team, that you've got them financially, you're going to get booked out in no time at all. So it does take confidence, and remember to think like an entrepreneur thinks. What are they worried about? What are their pain points? What do they want? And that's where you come in. You're going to meet them wherever they are. They may have a business degree and they may want to do their own books, or they may be the creative type that doesn't have a business degree and they just need someone to explain it to them. They have probably never even heard of the word balance sheet. And when you say that, their eyes may glaze over, and you know what that looks like, and you may know what that feels like to have someone talk over your head. And that's why, as a bookkeeper, you're going to remember to think like an entrepreneur, act like an entrepreneur, and meet them where they are. So one of the most important things you can do is offer different types of support when you're first starting out. Not just, I'm a monthly bookkeeper and that's all I do. You're going to want to meet the entrepreneur again where they are, which is, I don't know how to set up QuickBooks. I opened it up and started doing stuff and it let me. And we've all been there and seen what happens when that happens. And you need to go in and fix things. They've created loans as expenses because they don't know. No one's taught them what a balance sheet is. They don't understand assets and liabilities or equity, what is owner distribution and things like that. But when I first started out, I was just going to be a teacher and trainer. I love to teach and train. That's all I ever wanted to do. I never really wanted to own a bookkeeping company. I just wanted to teach entrepreneurs. And I thought, oh, well, as soon as I meet with them, and I'm always positive and enthusiastic, and I like to think I meet my clients where they are and take them to where they need to be in order to have a good set of books. And so I would go, now remember, this is 10, 15 years ago when we had little laptops and we were using QuickBooks Desktop. And I would, go to their place of employment, and maybe they had a laptop and maybe they had a desktop, but I would sit down and say, okay, what are we going to do? And I would teach them things and sort of give them homework and, make sure their bank feeds were connected and the things that I could do. And when I would come back the next week and I would look at the entrepreneur and say, okay, well, what all did you do? And he goes, I didn't do anything. I haven't opened it up. I was waiting for you. And I thought, well, we only have an hour. I can't do everything. But surely after I teach you how to do it, the next time I come, you'll be prepared. And this went on with all of my clients, and many were construction workers or in a trade where they just really did not want to do their books. And finally, they just would look at me and say, well, why don't you do it? I just need you to do it. And so I hired somebody to do that. That was when I had my first hire. I hired somebody to do that because I just wanted to teach and train. And I would say, hey, do these books. I'm going to go over here and teach and train some more. And so when I started out, most of my business was teaching and training and just setup and just making the entrepreneur feel like I was there for them. I was on their team. They could call me. They could trust me. I would get in there and help them fix their books if they had made a mess. So you can do that by offering packages, maybe a 4-hour package or an 8-hour package. When your clients first come on, you can do a little, information gathering. Then you're going to find out what it is they need and how complex their books may be. And you offer a 4 or 5-hour package, ask them to pay it up front. That's always the best. And then when the package is depleted, you can go back and see if they want more, more work. And I found that most of my clients would circle back to me, but a lot of entrepreneurs when they're starting out don't have money to commit right up front. So they want you here, when they have money or when they can afford you. And so just remember to respect that at first. If you don't want those clients, don't take them. But I liked those clients because those were the clients that stayed with me 10 years. 10 years later, I had all of these clients and they said, you were with me at the beginning. I trust you. You never talked over my head. And you helped me when I didn't know what I was doing. So one of the things about starting your bookkeeping company now is that you don't have to jump right in and do monthly bookkeeping. You can, and that's fine. You can keep that on the side, but focus on training, support, and more like advisory type services. So that's something you can offer right away. So one of the things that is kind of big in the industry right now is focusing on analytical skills. As businesses grow and become more complex and the financial regulations are, getting tighter, or the IRS is changing some of the rules, the need for skilled bookkeepers to manage daily transactions and just organize their financial records and prepare for critical events like tax filing or maybe an audit, those are the things that remain essential. Clients still need you to help them. They still need bookkeepers. And you want to become their go-to. You want them to call you, not the CPA, when they need some help with their bookkeeping. They're going to call the CPA when they're ready for taxes or tax advising, but they're going to call you when they need to get something in QuickBooks. Hey, Len, I've got a new loan. I bought a truck. I bought this. How do I book this? And that's when you're going to get in there and show them how to do it, and you're going to wow them, right? And they're going to be impressed and they're going to want to keep you around. But think of yourself as the liaison between the entrepreneur and that CPA. And you're going to be that role. Just take on that role as the liaison. But one of the things you have to do is get to know their CPA, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the podcast. Very important to get to know the CPAs, and I call it wowing the CPAs too. We're going to wow the client, we're going to wow the CPA, and you're going to be that go-between that's going to keep you employed or keep the client calling you back. So we talked about offer training packages or startup packages. So if you're in a community where there's a lot of new startups, like I am in Chattanooga, a lot of startups come here. I offer a startup package, and I still do for some clients, and it's startup and it's a training package. And then they can hire their own bookkeeper, or I can send them to one of the bookkeepers that I know. So when I started my business, I was mostly just training. And by year 3, I had maybe 30% flat rate monthly bookkeeping clients. And then about 70% are just the people as needed. Some of the clients were so small that they really just needed me once or twice a year, like a photographer or an artist or somebody who just needed me a couple times a year. But by year 5 in my business, I was more than 50% monthly bookkeeping. And again, I was not doing the monthly bookkeeping. I was hiring someone else to do that. And I was going out and teaching and training. So offering those training packages is a way to get your foot in the door and get the clients that you need. So one of the best parts about starting a bookkeeping business is, you don't need a ton of money to get started. It isn't like opening a restaurant or buying a franchise. You really just need a laptop or a good desktop, a solid internet, and you want to get your subscription to QuickBooks Online Accountant if you use QuickBooks. And that's what I use, and it's what all the people that I train and mentor, it's what they use, the QuickBooks Online Accountant. It's free. If you haven't checked it out, go to QuickBooks. Just Google QuickBooks Online Accountant and you will find it and sign up for it free. And because your expenses are low when you're doing bookkeeping, your profit margins are high. So you're not stocking inventory or paying rent for a storefront. You can earn great income kind of right out of the start gate, especially if you gain confidence and you're able to begin to raise your rates. So pricing is hard. And when you start out, maybe you don't earn the highest price that other people are because you're not as well versed or you're not as just not as experienced. So you'll have to find your niche. Don't underprice yourself. And that's something that we help people in our training circle as well. We help them gain the confidence to raise their prices and help them with pricing clients. So the good thing about, again, starting your business, it doesn't cost very much. I bootstrapped my business. That just means I didn't buy anything unless I had the money in my account to do it. I didn't go take a loan. I didn't buy another computer until I had money to do that. The first year or two, I just kind of went around with a laptop. I didn't have a lot of expectations, didn't want a lot of clients. And then when I started growing, I started buying computers one by one. And eventually I had 15 employees. Not all were working at my office. We started working virtually long before COVID. But bootstrapping the business is the way to go because you just don't go into debt, and you can control the expenses as well. So you probably already have a computer. And one of the things I suggest, as I've done bookkeeping for so many years, is get 2 monitors. I actually have some of my employees that now have set up their own bookkeeping company that have 3 monitors. So you're going to want to make sure you have, having those 2 monitors really helps you just work more efficiently and faster. So you get to be your own boss. That's the most important thing, right? That's what I love about being a virtual bookkeeper is you can be your own boss, and you can do that right from home, right? So what are you waiting for? You're thinking about opening up your business, or maybe you just started being an independent bookkeeper and you're thinking about growing it. What's holding you back from starting your practice today? Are you afraid of going out on your own and then not finding clients? How do you find clients? Maybe you feel like you're not really an outgoing person, and so you don't know how to go and find clients. That's a real issue because a lot of bookkeepers and accountants tend to be a little more introverted. I am not. So I don't know how I mixed bookkeeping and And, being an extrovert that I am, but that's why I enjoy teaching and training, because I can talk to my clients and I feel like I get my extrovertedness out all the time. But if you're an introvert, it might be a little scary because you're like, I don't want to go out and talk to people. I don't want to go to chamber meetings or get out outside my comfort zone. So that's one of the ways to do it. The other one is social media. And then, of course, the big one, which is looking for CPAs in your area that are looking for good, thorough bookkeepers. Bookkeepers make CPAs' lives so much easier, and they are out there right now looking for you. I'll tell you, CPAs, some like 𝘀𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗺, that's QuickBooks Online, and some can't stand it. They don't want to get in it at all. They just want to look at the profit and loss and the balance sheet and then do a journal entry to fix whatever they see needs to be fixed. And you and I know, if you've been doing bookkeeping, that we like to do bookkeeping transactionally. And that means that every transaction that happens in, PayPal or in the bank account, credit card account, every invoice, everything has a transaction and is coded and is put into QuickBooks. So you can go up and search for an amount and you should be able to find it. And we limit journal entries to just doing adjusting journal entries. And that's how a good good bookkeeping, is done. So if you're not an outgoing person and you're still thinking you want to set this up, but you're a little nervous, just need to find a couple of local CPAs that would be willing to work with you. So after tax season, go and make an appointment to talk to them and see what they need and how they operate, and would they be willing to work with you or send you bookkeeping clients. I guarantee you there are CPAs out there that are looking they could send you 100 clients right now, especially these big firms. They don't want to do bookkeeping. So that's really one way to go out there, and is to really work with CPAs. Now, if you already have a few clients, great. Go buddy up with their CPAs. Go wow them, be sure to talk to them, communicate with them a lot, and then ask them questions, and then ask them if they have other clients that you're accepting clients, QuickBooks clients, you're happy to help them with anything. I would sometimes help the CPAs even for free. They would call me in a panic and say, I don't know how to fix this. I've messed something up, or the client messed it up. I tried to fix it. I made it worse. And I will literally just share a screen with them and fix it for them and say, nope, you don't need to pay me. You just need to send me a client. So really, really make the CPA's life easier. This is an investment. So you need to, for the first year, to really be working with the CPAs and invest time in getting to know them and, kind of wowing them. So you can start your bookkeeping business for under $1,000, right? You're going to get your money back pretty quickly. It's one of the most flexible businesses that you can start. Again, you can work from home. You can work from a coffee shop, work during your kids' naps. It's all possible. The nicest thing is that you get to choose your schedule. You get to choose who your clients are too. So as you grow your business, you may become a little more choosy about your clients. When you first start, like I did, I just took everybody because I said, I can help these people. And no matter who they were, I could help them. And God love us, some people just don't want to be helped or can't be helped. And then sometimes people just don't pay you. And I don't understand that, but that's what happens, and that's the reality. So as you grow, you will be able to choose your clients and do a little bit more selective, be a little more selective in who you choose. But the freedom, the flexibility you have by owning your own bookkeeping firm is just amazing. You want to take Fridays off? Done. You want to work early mornings and take the afternoons off? Be there at 3:00 when your kids get off the bus? Done. As long as you hit your deadlines and you're communicating well with your clients, you can create a life first business. That's what I call it. My life comes first and my business next. You want to create a business that works for you. A bookkeeping business is just like any other business, though. You have to set it up properly and get an FEIN number. And if you want an LLC, I do recommend that you set it up as an LLC in your state. Grab a website, get a domain name, a Gmail account, create a logo in Canva, or get somebody to help you with that. You can get a marketing plan together, and your marketing plan can simply be, I'm going to work with CPAs in town, and that's fine. Social networking isn't for everybody, and it can be daunting if you're not really into social media or you're not the creative type. I certainly hire all my social media out because I am not creative. I'm a bookkeeper. So really just getting the QBOA, QuickBooks Online Accountant, getting certified, and you're ready to go. And you can pretty much do all that in a week or less if you really are motivated to do that. So a few more benefits. Unlike a traditional job, there's no salary cap here. You get to decide how much you want to earn because you're setting the rates, you're choosing your clients, you're choosing whether you want to hire someone else to grow your firm, and eventually just scaling your firm. You get to start by doing the work yourself and then eventually bringing in help, contractors or employees or a team of junior bookkeepers, if you want to call them that. Your income can grow with your confidence and your capacity. So let me tell you, it feels amazing to be in charge of your own financial destiny. I work for other people, for big Fortune 500 companies, and I learned a lot from them. I learned good work ethics. I learned what business owners need and what kind of goes around in the business world. And then when I went out on my own, I was able to use that information and to my advantage to start my own business. But I was never able to set my own salary when I worked for a big company, right? You just don't get to do that nowadays. But you can do that when you go out on your own. Now, is it all going to happen in the first year? No. Usually the first year, you're working really hard. You're just going to have to plan on it. You're going to work hard your first year because you really need to get your ducks in a row and you need to feel confident in what you're doing. You're going to have a plan. A strategic plan is very important when starting any company, but especially with a bookkeeping firm, because you're going to want to figure out how much money do I need to make and how much do I want to make? And then how am I going to do that? How many clients do I need? You're just going to do the math, and we're going to do that, backwards to figure out how much time you have to work and how much you have to charge in order to get the salary that you want at the end of the year. And that salary will keep growing as you grow your firm, because you can only do so much, right? You might have 10 bookkeeping clients and you're maxed out. Well, after that, you can't really grow. So, and it's totally fine not to hire other people if that stresses you out, or you're in a place in your life where you're like, I don't have time to supervise other people. I can barely keep my work life together, So it's just something to plan on, because there will be phases in your life where things aren't so crazy. Once your children get a little older, and that's exactly what I did. Once they got older, they were in high school, I was like, oh, I can work a little bit more. I can hire some employees and still keep this going and still be home, in the afternoon. The other thing I really liked about owning my own business was the continuous learning that you have. I'm just one of the people that I'm always curious and I always want to learn new things. And so this job was perfect for me. Owning a bookkeeping company is perfect. I learn something new every day, and I still do. And I'm amazed that some of the things I learn, I'm like, well, why didn't I know that before? Or, wow, I've been working and running a business for 10 years, and I just now found this out, this, specific thing or something that I can do. And so it's a good feeling to be in a place where you're continuously learning. I like that. It helps motivate me to be a better bookkeeper when I'm learning, constantly. So, again, working remote, that's awesome. I also learned about year 9 or 10, I guess it was right after COVID, that I could pick up my laptop and I could travel anywhere in the world and I could run my business. And that was an amazing feeling. And I did travel. I traveled all over the world for a year to see if I could actually do it. And I could because I had strong people in place. But one of the things that I hear a lot about when people say, oh, I don't know, and starting my own bookkeeping company, I hear that AI is taking over. I hear that bookkeepers are going to be obsolete, that AI is just going to do everything. Well, AI can't do everything. Yes, it's a big, scary word. And yes, it's scary to think about maybe for some people. But actually, this is one of the things that you have to think about as going forward. What can AI do? And then what can AI not do? Because you want to do the things that AI cannot do, right? You want to make sure that you are offering services that can't just be done by a computer, right? It's more than just data entry. So that means you're probably going to be doing something like letting AI enter the data, and you are the manager of the data. You and your client are going to manage the data. Where is it going? What chart of accounts? And you're going to manage, because you already do manage the chart of accounts. So this doesn't mean that bookkeepers are going to be extinct. In fact, AI can really enhance your work. Just let it auto-categorize, transactions. Think about QuickBooks Online. You've got the rules, the banking rules that come in. And if you're not using those to your advantage right now, you need to get off and look at that. So in the Banking Center under rules, you can create rules that say, if this, then this. So basically, if you see Verizon, put it in cell phone. Don't ask me again. Directly put it into the register and let it skip the bank feeds. And then you go to the next one. If you see this, then this. And those are the items that are going to be consistent every time. And they will just go straight into the register. You don't ever have to look at them. So if you have 100 items that need to be, or transactions from a client that need to be classified every month, and you get 75% of them in automatically, you only have to classify 25. So your work is cut down automatically. The client doesn't necessarily need to know all of that. They might understand what you're doing, but they don't need to know that cuts your time down, because you're still doing the same job. You're still managing the books. Just because you do it faster doesn't mean you should charge less for it, right? You're still managing the client's books. You're still giving them the same expectations. So you're going to give them high value. You're just going to let AI do a little bit for you. Here's the other thing that AI can do a lot. So I'm thinking about how I use AI. I use ChatGPT and Claude AI for different things, sometimes for social media, and sometimes for, if I need to calculate something on a loan for a client, like, oh, I need the payout, or, what is the current, loan rate, the interest rate right now, the federal interest rate, at 8.5%. Say that's what it is, and I have this loan. What would the monthly payment be? I need a chart, and it'll create a chart for me. So things like that make my life easier. I don't have to go and try to figure that out. So let AI, help you, and don't think of it as a threat. So we know it speeds up data entry, right? It can just do AI. QuickBooks already uses AI and Dext and Xero, and they pull things in the bank feed, and they categorize expenses, or try to help you categorize expenses based on past behavior. And they'll even match up receipts to transaction. They'll go look for it and find it and match the receipts up. We know that it does that already. It has some limitations. It's getting better though every day, I find. This means that fewer clicks and less manual work for you, so that you can spend more time doing analysis and advising. So some AI tools inside QuickBooks or inside these bookkeeping software, they do suggest ways to streamline your process. Some of them are annoying because they're trying to ask you to upload an invoice, and when it does, it reads the invoice or the bill, and it tries to help you. Sometimes it does a good job, but you do have to tame it and teach it. And that's what I try to remind my clients. I'm like, hey, the first 6 months when you're in your QuickBooks is trying to learn your patterns, and it uses AI to do that. Well, if the client doesn't quite understand that, they might inadvertently teach QuickBooks to put things in categories that are not correct. Or they may create a rule that says every time you see Walmart, put it here. And then they go to Walmart and they buy something different than what, it's not office supplies this time, it's food or something like that. So we do have to, work with the client. And that's why having that, when you're first working with a client, they're setting QuickBooks up, I tell them this right up front. Hey, I need 6 to 8 weeks with you, or 8 hours, whatever you have predicted. And I need to make sure that when we're accepting these transactions, we're teaching QuickBooks correctly. And we're not teaching it something so that it kind of takes a life of its own and starts doing things. And clients will call me and say, why is it every single solitary check says 𝘀𝗵cie𝗂𝗶𝗵 on it, And I say, well, the last check you did said 𝘀𝗵cie𝗂𝗶𝗵. So it's trying to be helpful, and we need to teach it to quit doing that, because the client sometimes just starts accepting everything and doesn't really know how to change that. And that's when it gets even worse. Then AI becomes a little monster in there, and you have to go back as the bookkeeper and try to tame that. So one of the ways I use AI, I will use it. You can, generate any kind of report for your client. When I'm doing analysis for my client, I've done this so much that I can do it on my own. But for someone who maybe hasn't had a lot of experience in advisory, you can feed ChatGPT like a profit and loss from last year and a profit and loss from this year, or last year year to date, this year year to date. Feed it in and say, give me some analysis on this data. And it will tell you, your cost of goods is up, your, payroll is down or something like that. And then you can ask it different questions, and you can begin learning yourself. You're not going to send that off to your client, but you're just doing it to learn yourself as to what to say to the client. And you can ask it for all kinds of things, anything at all that you think the client may ask you, so you can have a little heads up. So I just use AI, in a strategic sense, and try to keep it working for me and not be scared of it. I don't think AI is going to completely take over bookkeeping, because you still need people that think. We still need people that say, hey, I've got a loan, or I've got a new investment. Oh, I just started a GoFundMe page, and all that money starts coming in. Well, do you think AI is going to know what the heck to do with that? No, you got to create another chart of accounts. Is this an investment? Is this a grant? You've got to figure that out. And that's going to take somebody like you, a bookkeeper who's been there and knows how to do this. And again, if you don't know how to do that, I just recently got some kind of interesting funding from a client, and in their books, and I asked the CPA, like, how would you like me to book this? This is where you and the CPA can team up. How would you like for me to book this? And they'll say, yes, great question. I want it under equity. This would be an investment, in the company. And I want you to set it up this way. And so that's what we do. And that's the best thing about being a bookkeeper, is you're kind of the in-between, like we talked. You're in between the entrepreneur and the CPA, and you just need to stay there and own that space. And if don't try to make up things if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know where something should go. The client might ask you questions you don't know, and you say, that is great. Let me get back to you on that. I may have to bring your CPA in to make sure I'm booking this properly so you can get the best tax advantage. That's always my line. And that's an easy line, right? I want to make sure you're getting the best tax advantage, so I'm going to run this by your CPA. And you do, and can see how that goes. So let AI work for you. Honestly, I'd rather let them do all the data entry and all of that, and then let me do more of the analytical work and the work, the harder, work. So we've been talking a little bit about CPAs and how you can use CPAs to boost your bookkeeping business. So right now, it's interesting. There's a huge wave of CPAs that are retiring in the next few years. And a lot of these CPAs are not like really into QuickBooks Online. They're more of the old-fashioned, CPAs. It's true. They may not have embraced all of the online systems in their business. So the new CPAs that are coming on board are, coming right out of college. They're coming in to the accounting industry. And I know because I meet and train them. We have some big firms here in town, and I actually meet and train some of the new CPAs on QuickBooks Online. And they say, what is that? Some of them have never even heard of it, and they don't understand how it works or how it pertains to them. And so I let them know, well, there's an accounting version, and I can invite you as an accountant. And that way, when you're ready to do the taxes, you can open the file and double click on that transaction that you're looking at, or see, what is made up of the, the new asset that they bought. You can double click it and see. And of course, you have gone in and put everything in that you need. You've put in the purchase agreement for that, and maybe the loan agreement to whatever that is they've purchased. And that CPA will know to go ahead and add that to the asset registry and give you some depreciation on that. So the CPAs that are retiring, weren't necessarily all embracing QuickBooks Online or sort of the new way of doing bookkeeping. Anything that had to do with AI or anything that had to do with auto entry probably just gave them, chills. So they're retiring, and the new set that's coming in. But there's going to be a big gap there between there's going to be sort of like an accountant shortage. And so the accountants are not going to have time to go in and do bookkeeping, right? They're not going to want to do bookkeeping. They're going to want to do taxes. That's what they're hired to do. And that's sort of where their brain is all the time. They don't want to go in and do job costing. They just want to shift. They're shifting their focus to just taxes and tax prep and, advising the client to do things to be in a better, tax situation, right? So there is a growing need for qualified professionals like yourself to step in and manage day-to-day books. And you can do that with a client directly, or you can do that directly with a CPA. I actually worked directly for CPA. Sometimes they would call sort of in a panic, and they were like, I can't fix this file. I don't know what's going on. They're driving me crazy. Can I just hire you to do it kind of behind the scenes? They'll invite me to the file. I'll fix it. The CPA will pay me directly, and off they go. And the CPA can charge the client whatever they want, right? They're probably going to charge a lot more than I did. But that is another way to get the CPA to trust you. And after a while, the CPA was like, look, I'm just going to tell them to call you directly because I don't want to be the intermediary. I just want you guys to do it because I trust you. And that's the best phone call you can get, right? I trust you. I want you to work directly for my client. And then you can raise your rates a little bit, and you'll still be cheaper than the CPA. So now is a good time to position yourself as a part of that team, that support team from a CPA. So again, you're the intermediary between the entrepreneur and the CPA, and that's where you are going to reside. You're going to live in that space. Just go ahead and own it. When a client gives their information to a CPA, sometimes an entrepreneur or client, they don't understand that the CPA doesn't want to go reconcile everything. They just think, I'll just give them the QuickBooks file, and then I'll just send them all these random receipts, and the CPA is going to do my books and my taxes. And sometimes they don't quite understand that there's a difference in doing bookkeeping and doing taxes. And your CPA does not want to do your bookkeeping. So the CPA is going to try to gather the information, just kind of chunk it in there the best they can, right, to make sure that the taxes are correct. But the details may be lost because they aren't interested in the details. They're interested in year-end taxes, right? And so being able to explain why a bookkeeper is important to an entrepreneur is part of your job too. The CPA may not understand. I mean, they understand that. They would rather have somebody do bookkeeping, but they're like, oh, I don't mind. I just gather it all together and shove it in there. And then you think to yourself, is that really the best way for this client? Is that really the best way? The best thing for them is to have a CPA just chunk everything in there. And then the client's like, well, I want to know how much money I made on this property. I'm like, well, I don't know, because, you didn't give the CPA the information they needed, and they did your taxes, but we didn't do bookkeeping. And so by being able to help the CPA and the entrepreneur understand that you're going to help both of them equally, and it's going to be cheaper than having a CPA do it, and they're going to have the financial information that they need, the entrepreneur is, to make business decisions. And you're going to catch yourself in the middle with some of those clients, and other clients are like, well, I don't care about that. I just give it to my CPA. Yeah, he charges me $2,000, but I don't know what else to do. And, in general, the taxes might cost a whole lot less if everything's in order and you're just handing the CPA a profit and loss and a balance sheet, and then the pertinent information that they need, an asset list or something else. And then the taxes are a whole lot less because the CPA knows everything's tied out. The W-2s match up to the payroll and all that stuff. So those are the things that you're going to do as a bookkeeper. So you want the entrepreneur to see you as an essential part of their business. So you have to present yourself that way. I'm not, I just do numbers, and don't ever say, I'm just a bookkeeper. I just do the data entry. No, you're going to be an essential part of their business because you're the one that is going to help them understand the profit and loss of their business and how they can, what are the details in there and how they can manage those to make business decisions. So your job is to wow them both. You're going to wow the CPA and you're going to wow the client, and you're going to keep building those relationships with the clients and the CPAs as you grow your bookkeeping firm. You're just going to keep going. I probably have 100 CPAs that I have worked with, maybe even more in the past, and I continue to work with now, and they will still call me and ask for advice. And that's what you want. You want to build that relationship, and it won't go away. So here's the deal. I'm just going to wrap this up today. If you've been dreaming about starting your own bookkeeping firm, and I hope this episode helped you see that it's not only possible, but it's smart. It's smart to start it right now. The demand is real and the tools are available, and the opportunity is massive. It's there. And best of all, you don't have to do it alone. If you're ready to take the next step, check out our training circle. It's full of real support, step-by-step guide, and other bookkeepers just like you. They're building amazing businesses just like you, and we're there if you need us. If you like what you heard, don't forget to hit that subscribe button or tap follow wherever you're listening so you don't miss a single episode. I've got lots more tips and real talk and behind the scenes stories coming your way. Until next time, keep being awesome.